All right, I want to thank you all once again for tuning in to Playbook. I'm here with head coach of Andrew Jackson football, Jeremy Smith. The Volunteers had a tough one against Bluffton this week, but was able to get it in before the rain come, or enough of the game anyway. But Coach Smith, talk a little bit about your coaching staff and any maybe changes that you've had this year, or any new responsibilities or that sort of thing.
Yeah, sadly we lost Delmar Patterson, passed away from cancer last year, and um, so we had one coach that or one spot that we were going to replace, and so we kept everybody intact from last year. We brought back the entire staff. And we replaced and brought in Fairmars Mickle. He's going to help. He coaches our DBs / outside linebackers, and kind of helps with that group. And he's going to be a basketball coach for us, assistant basketball coach for us. So he's going to be a great addition. He's been in Lancaster County. He's another AJ guy that played at AJ. So and he's really good with the kids. So we're happy. Yeah, we've kept the same staff. Everybody really in the same spot as they were last year, which is good because a lot of times, in our profession, you get some turnover, whether just guys going to different spots or get promotions or whatever. So we've done a good job of keeping this staff. This is a very good staff. We get staff that loves AJ, and a lot of them are from AJ, and so they want to see this place be successful. But we're very lucky to have the guys we got, and lucky that we kept most of them here.
And talk about how that continuity maybe helps the kids because they maybe know what to expect year to year.
Yeah. So, I think number one, it probably builds a great relationship. The kids start to, from the time they're freshmen, they start to build a relationship with that position coach, and we coach them all. So everybody in our program coaches JV and varsity, and so they just start to build a relationship with everybody, and that 4 years you kind of get to know the kid and his family, and get to know kind of what how he responds to stuff, and how he goes out there, what kind of gets him motivated, and so it's a great thing. We can keep coaches, and I think some of the best programs can keep their coaches are around and keep their staff together. It obviously is nothing but a positive. So.
Mm-hmm. And the weather came on Friday night, but you got most of your game in against a good Bluffton team, and came out a little bit short on that one. Talk about your message to the kids after that game.
Yeah, number one, we kind of got cut short. Yeah, we when the thunderstorms come, is going to be on top of us for a while. So, but my number one message, and kind of starting yesterday too, was we fought, and we were extremely proud of the fact that especially defensively, we came out and with great intensity, great urgency. I mean, we really fought our tails off defensively, and I told our kids that you should be proud of that, right? That our first game, first live action 4 quarters, that we came out and against a team that had some big time weapons, right? A very good quarterback, very good receiver, running back was very good. Like, just all around, they were a very solid team and had a lot of weapons. And so for us to come out, and we felt like we played really, really well defensively. And two, I mean, we're playing a very hard schedule. There's not a lot of 2A schools that are going to play a 4A, 5A school, and the quality of 2A schools we're going to play. So we just have to look at this non-conference as a chance to get better. We need to get, our Sherrall is our first region game. We got to be the best we can be by that point, and these games are going to help us do that. So.
And talk about your offense. I know you have a lot of players that have been in the program maybe, but haven't necessarily been the number one that this is their first opportunity. Talk about the offense and what you liked from them.
Yeah, I mean, we got majority of offense got their first start Friday night at varsity level. So whether we had, I was really proud, offensive line wise, we blocked pretty well overall. We had some moments here or there that didn't look very good, but I was real proud that we had a sophomore, Gage Lowry. He's played the best he's played through the preseason. Big tackle for us. So, and just overall offensive line, we felt like pretty good game for them. Our receiving core is probably, the best. You want to say the most experienced, or the most, they have the most playing time. We've got two receivers that played full. Probably it's going to really be their third year of getting a lot of action. So Bryce Peterson and Bubo, and so those two guys are just they when they're on, right, and when they're on, we're rolling. So we just got to make sure we keep trying to get them the ball. We got another one, a junior Zeke Clyburn. It's going to be a great player. Dallas really had his first time full start as a quarterback on Friday night. So, and we're rotating, a couple running backs. So, we weren't as concerned about our skill players and our skill sides of our offense. We were more worried about the offensive line being four new starters who have never, started it down. So, and they did. We felt like for that being the first time, they played really well.
And you said your defense, you liked the way that they played. Who was that kind of stepped up, and what else did you like about it?
Number one, our coaches came in and they bragged about Cam McGill. Cam's a defensive end for us. Cam played some defensive end last year, linebacker. I think it was 9 total tackles. He had 2 sacks, a tackle for loss, multiple quarterback pressures, hurries, and he had a great game. And you could tell the difference. He put pressure on the quarterback, and the quarterback started running the ball probably a little bit more than they had planned to or used to, and part of that was just Cam. Cam putting pressure on him, and but we were really proud of him. He fought tail off. There was a couple of times you get that obvious holding call that nobody calls, right? And so we felt like he was getting held some, and he just kept fighting. The other one was Q Hall, Karan Hall. He had 10 total tackles at linebacker. And I have to shout out our 2 corners. Javon Kelly's a sophomore. Rashawn Gaither's a senior. But both of them, they played tremendously considering who they were facing. We tried to help them out. We did a lot of different things in coverage this week, but and then Bryce Peterson had a pick 6. So we like I said, those guys just flew around. Those guys played, except for a drive here too. They played about the best we could ask them to play.
All right, and talk about your special teams, if they were a part at all. In a game like that.
We didn't get an opportunity. CT, Kurt Thomas, Horton. He's our kicker, and he does a pretty good job of. We just had some mess ups on some snaps there with the extra point, and but he does a great job. Kickoffs, he does a great job for us. So CT's going. Oh, we got a solid guy in him, and he's missed. You don't sometimes as a coach, and in the past, you're not lucky enough maybe sometimes to think when you get down to the 20 or 30, CT's got a shot, right? And so that's obviously a great a great chance for us, just to depend on the situation. But I felt like we played pretty well. We didn't have any major, when we can flip the field position, which we did consistently, and they don't get any big plays out of it, usually a good special teams night.
All right, and this week you got a county rival, Indialand, now a 5A school, coming to Andrew Jackson to play. Talk about Indialand and what you're expecting from them.
Yeah, obviously being a 5A opponent, that it is, we don't really talk about that a whole lot with our kids know it, right? They know some of those guys, and it being in Lancaster County, we think it's a good thing, right? We think it's a good thing for our community, and a chance to play somebody local, and so we know they're very good, right? I think we feel like they're very good defensively. They've got a solid box, D-line linebackers. They got a solid box, and they've got some firepower, right? Number 2 and number 1 are very good players, and they're going to get their touches, and offensively they can do some things running the ball. And so we just got to be like last week. We told our guys we just got to be really good assignment wise. We can't have any screw ups, any plays where we're off mentally. And so we just, like I said, our defense is fighting right now, and if we can continue doing that next week, and offensively, we just got to be able to run the ball consistently. It can't be in spurts. We just got to be consistent, running the ball and complete passes. It sounds simple, but that's really what we got to be able to do. And like I said, they're a bigger opponent. They obviously 2-0, and they beat some two quality teams up to this point. So we just again we just got to come Friday with some sense of intensity and urgency, and I don't have any doubt that these kids will back down from a challenge. So that's the good news.
Well, this is our high school game of the week this week. Learn TV is excited to be able to be there. But all you listeners out there, if you have a chance and are in the area, I suggest you go to the game, because there's nothing like a high school football game on a Friday night in person. But if you can't be there, Learn TV will have it covered on YouTube and Facebook. So make sure you tune in if you can't be there in person. Coach, good luck this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and thanks for sticking around with us. I'm here with Joe Watson, head coach of the Buford Yellow Jacket football team. Coach, thanks for being on.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, talk about what we didn't get to last time. Talk a little about your coaching staff, any new hires that you have this year, or new responsibilities for any of your past staff.
Well, as far as responsibilities, nothing changes. Both coordinators are still in place. We were fortunate enough to bring in offensive line coach, our offensive line coach from last year, Coach Walters, who I thought did a great job, decided to step away from education. And so we were fortunate enough to hire Coach Brian Kane, was former head coach at Great Falls. He's going to be coaching offensive line for us and doing special teams coordinator. So far to date, he's done a great job. Really pleased with where we are. I got a text this morning about a breakdown for special teams and how he wants to approach it for this week. So, I'm all about it. Takes a little bit off. When I talked to him and interviewed him, he wants to continue in those roles of coordinating at least in that role. And so, he made mention about being a special teams guy, and I was all for it. So, like I said, he's done a great job to date, and just look forward to him continuing to work with our young guys.
All right, and you guys had a little bit of a lightning rain issue in the game. Talk about, even your message to the kids after it got called.
What a crazy day, man. I never thought it was going to get to that point as far as weather. And our trainer, Doc Mettinger, she does a phenomenal job with our athletes and then keeping us, safe as far as practice and games and stuff. And so when she came out, it's never a good thing when you come out with the phone or the wet bulb, but it is part of her job, and I completely understand. So when she popped out with her phone in her hand, I knew what was going on. And so basically, we sat there for a little bit, and Coach Crosby at Bamberg and I are really good friends. And I just talked to him. I said, we got a couple of options here, and it's about a 3-hour drive for them. So I just said, we can wait it out. We can come back tomorrow, or we can just no contest this thing. So because we didn't get to halftime, we got a quarter basically played. And, in talking to him, he said the earliest we were going to get back on the field was 10 o'clock. And, then you had to play at the quarter, halftime, and then the second half of the ball game, which probably would have pushed him to 3-4 o'clock in the morning getting home. So he's, that wasn't the option. Transportation wasn't an option for Saturday. So, he and I just come to the decision it'd be a no contest. And, for us, it was good because we got to see some reps against quality work, not to say anybody else hadn't been, but, they're a good football team, man. I think they're ranked second in the state in 1A. and probably could play with dang near anybody in any other classification. But I think if I remember correctly, what I told the guys was there were some things in the game in that little bit of time that if we take advantage of, we're going to be okay. And that was, we started the game off with a little pooch kick that we ran up under and recovered. Right there, we got to be able to score points, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. We got to put some points on the board against a good team. And then, coming out of that, we had to punt that series, and we pinned them on the 1, made them go 99 yards for the score, but there were several key times. I think there were 3 or 4 third down conversions that we get off the field, we got a chance to go down and score some points. And that's what that was the message. We got to take advantage of opportunities that are given to us. And when we do that and capitalize on mistakes that the other team's making, then we're going to be, we're not far from where we want to be, but that type of stuff, we're going to be able to start making some headway and moving forward.
Well, and having a shorter game maybe makes it a little bit easier to grade some film, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think the grades went really quick this time.
Talk a little bit about what goes into making the decision to call a game or delay a game. Is it just your call, or does the administration jump into that? Who ultimately does it come down to?
Realistically, the time to stop it comes down to the trainer. And the medical staff, because she's in charge of that as far as safety. After that, it just kind of comes down to the head coaches and what can be worked out and what's feasible. Like I said, with us not being able to start back, because every time the lightning strikes, it's 30 more minutes that you got to wait. So if it would have stopped at that particular time that Coach Crosby and I were talking, like I said, we were waiting. It was at least 10 o'clock to get back on the field. And so then like I said, we talked about transportation for the Saturday, and that wasn't a viable option. So that was kind of where we led to the no contest rule, which, Coach Shack, our AD, was on board. I know Coach Crosby talked to his athletic director. So everybody was on the same page, and it wasn't I hate that we lost the game as far as the actual contest of it, but the safety of these kids and putting Bamberg back on the road on a bus trying to go home out of the storm was more important. So, we're going to repay the favor because of a 2-year contract. So we'll be headed down there next year. So hopefully the weather cooperates this time next year with us.
Well, it sounds like y'all made the right decision for everybody involved, including the Buford kids. Talk about next week now. You got Highlands Tech. You're heading there. How far a travel is that for you guys, and what are you expecting from them?
Well, they're not a bad football team. They actually had to play yesterday to make up their game. So we got film on them. I was fortunate enough to get a little bit of film before, so we knew what we were doing going into practice this week. The drive for us is about an hour and 40 minutes, which is not that bad. But we've got a plan to take care of Friday and get the guys ready to go. But we've had two solid days of practice so far. Monday was really walk through type of day, get the kids back loosened up. Intro both their Highland Tech's offense and defense to them. Run through some team stuff, and then yesterday we were in full pads and getting after it. And I thought yesterday was a really good day for us. Kids are locked in, and we're going to get on the bus and go see what happens. Hopefully we can get out of that thing and be 2-0.
And now going into, the second, third weeks of school, how much of that routine, how do the kids get better as they get more accustomed to the routine of the practice week, getting ready for a Friday game?
Well, fortunately for us, we've been at this thing for 3 weeks now, and nothing's changed. I told them they know the plan. They know exactly what to expect Monday through Thursday. So that's not a surprise for them. I think any coach that you interview will tell you that the first day of school is awful for practice, and Mondays are not that good because you're trying to get them back after a weekend. So that's why we do what we do on Mondays, to get them mentally locked back in. And But, for us, the routine is the routine, and we're going to stay with it. And I talk to the process to the kids all the time, so they understand the expectations as soon as we roll back in here on Monday morning.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you. Buford is on the road this week, traveling to Highland Tech. If you guys are up for it, take that drive out there. I know those Yellow Jackets like to travel along with their team and watch them play. Again, and all the rest of y'all fans out there at Highland Tech this week, go support those Yellow Jackets. Coach, thanks for being on this week. We'll see you again next week.
Hey, appreciate it. Go Jackets.
All right, and thanks for sticking with us. I have Adam Hastings here, head coach of Indian Land Warrior football. Had a big win over Lancaster this weekend. Coach, talk to us a little bit about your new coaching staff, or any new additions to your coaching staff, or new responsibilities for any of your coaches.
Yeah, I think one of the good things about what we've been able to do in the last 5 years is just having a lot of continuity. We've had the same 3 coordinators during my time here, and honestly, the same core group of guys here. And the one thing we've been able to do, I think, very successfully, is add coaches to our program that bring a lot of really good quality and different aspects to our program. And when we were trying to equip our program to be able to handle and to be able to understand the weight of a 5A program, I think we've done a really good job of equipping guys and bringing the right guys to support all levels of football. So we had some good additions. For the first time really in a long time, we had a coach leave. Really excited for him. Tyler Meek's got an amazing opportunity to take a big step up for him. And going back to Virginia, he's going to be really he's been missed, but really just excited for me. And for me as a head coach, that's awesome when you see a coach be able to take the next step and be able to use his time here as a springboard for his career. And we were able to bring in a super accomplished, really good coach named Trip Stone. Trip's been the defensive coordinator at Butler, Chambers, Mallard Creek, all across North Carolina. He's won multiple state championships. And is coaching on linebackers and running our strength program, and is acting as an associate head coach. So he just brings a lot of experience to understanding the game, a lot of understanding linebacker play, and he's been awesome in the weight room. And then we were able to add Trey Brown. And Trey just got done playing at Jacksonville State, had a really great career there. His father's a legendary high school coach, so he brings a lot of just experience playing and understanding. Trey's been an awesome addition to our staff and working with our offensive linemen. And then those were 2 big additions, and then we were able to add in a former player, Michael Watkins, who's came in and worked with our young guys. He's done a great job with our young DBs, young defensive guys. So, anytime you have a staff of 16 guys, there's a lot of people. But when we have kept a core group of guys along for so long, it's able to bring people in and making sure they're kind of meeting our standards and expectations.
And, coaching a smaller program or being with a smaller program, how much balancing do you have to do having, a JV team and a younger team than that too?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I was at my first year at Providence Day, we didn't have a JV team. It was just a varsity team. We had 6 coaches. I was coaching corners and offensive line and calling the plays. And, by the time we left, we had a JV team, and our staff was, built up to 14 guys or 12 guys. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. But I think that my experience being at Ardrey Kell and at Providence Day have really equipped me to be able to understand how to not micromanage, but how to equip our coaching staffs to put the right people in place, to give them the tools that they need to be able to reach, what they want And just the hardest thing is ensuring that our programs are aligned, or our program is aligned at all three levels, ensuring that all three of us are meeting, the same goals, and we're aligned in what we're trying to do from a ninth grade program to our JV to our varsity.
And talk about now what you talked to your guys after your 2-day game starting on Friday night, going into Saturday morning. I know you fell behind in the second half and were able to come back. What was your message to them?
I mean, I think, when we kind of realized that we're going to be a rained out game for us, it was tough, but disappointing, but it was something out of our control. And we met as a staff really quick and just kind of assessed what we needed to do. So we just here's our breakfast menu. So we ran to Harris Teeter, got a bunch of stuff. Bunch of the coaches got here 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we started cooking for our guys. So we told our guys, hey, listen, this is going to be like a college environment for you. We're going to treat this like a college game, And so I think our guys really embraced it. I was really pleased with how they're prepared and their focus, and they weren't too sleepy eyed. I thought they had the right amount of energy for the game, and I know it didn't show at first, but I think it did show over time. Just ensuring they had the right amount of food, nutrition, hydration, all played a big part, especially later in the game.
All right, and talk about your offense, what you liked from them, what you think they still need to work on.
Yeah, I mean, last week a lot of times we were our own worst enemy on offense. We'd have a great drive going, and we had all these drive killers. We get stuck in 2nd and 30 or 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 15, or just really off schedule, and no offense is equipped to be able to be efficient in those circumstances. And I thought we did the best what we could last week, but this week I thought even though we only ran 37 plays on offense, minus 1 3 and out, I thought we did a really good job of moving the ball. We ran the ball really well, which I think is really an important aspect of what we need to do right now offensively. And I thought our guys did a really good job of just finding opportunities to make plays, and whether it be Sequel Patterson, Vaughn Lucas, Jamal Horton, whoever. I thought they did a really good job when they get their opportunities, and gave us some pressures that we got to work on. We got to get better up front on. But I thought for the most part, offensively, we did a much better job of, other than one penalty, not being our own worst enemy.
And Lancaster's known for running the ball, and they were able to do that pretty well there in the first half. But it looked like you guys figured something out and got enough stops there at the end to come back. Talk about your defense.
Yeah, look, they're as good as anybody around here running the football, and they have a really good offensive line. They're big. I think their quarterback and running back are just fantastic runners with great vision, great understanding, great explosion, first step, can go. I think they do a really good job of blocking on the perimeter. They're a little handcuffed with their ability or inability rather to be able to throw the ball the way they probably want to. But if you look at someone's ability to run the ball, it's really, really good. A lot of our issues are at first, and going kind of in the second half, was just not being in the right position, getting knocked off, running into the back of our own guys, just doing stuff that you're going to do early in the year that you can't do when you're trying to stop a team like them. And I thought we made some good adjustments going in the second half, and I thought those adjustments kind of paid off later in the third quarter and the fourth.
And when speaking of special teams, it's always nice to start a game with a kickoff return for a touchdown. Talk about your special teams and what you liked from them.
Yeah, we had 2 good weeks of them. Been really pleased with our preparation and mindset toward it. We felt like we had a really good opportunity to return a kick. We had a really good opportunity last week, and had a couple of tackles late in the game to kind of keep us even on when we crossed the 50. And just thought we were in a good spot with some of the things that they were doing on their kickoff game and some of the things that we're doing on our return game currently that we're going to be able to return a kick. So it's just, we're a momentum team, and special teams is where you gain or lose momentum. And I thought our guys did an excellent job getting momentum really early on.
And another county rival again this week, you're heading to Andrew Jackson to take on the Volunteers. Talk about them and what you're expecting from their team.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Andrew Jackson, I mean, there's been no team around, especially in our district, that's had the success they've had in football. I mean, they've won 40 games in the last 5 years, and that's including the COVID year. They've, I think, 3 times won their region. They've been to upper state championships about the same amount of time. You know, in the last 20 years, they're 7-6 against us. So I think for us, it's understanding that, you know, that's a really tough place to play. They do a great job. We played them when I was at Providence Day. I was just so impressed with their environment, and it's going to be tough. You know, they're well equipped to take on anybody. They got athletes on the outside. I think they got a really good running back. Quarterback does a really good job with the ball. They're big up front on both sides of the ball. They bring a lot to the table. I think they're well coached. Coach Smith and his staff does a fantastic job. You know, they're going to force you to have to beat them. And for us, you know, it's going to be a really good test because it's a team that's very similar to what we're going to see in our region.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for being on. You guys, if you're watching out there and you want to see a really good football game this Friday night at 7:30, it'll be at Andrew Jackson. Indian Land Warriors traveling to AJ to take on the Volunteers. Again, Coach, thanks for being on this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Go Warriors.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking with us. I'm here with head coach of the Lancaster Bruins, Marcus Surratt. Coach, thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, now talk a little bit about your summer and season preparation, how you felt things went, and how your kids did and participated throughout the summer.
The summer went real well for us. We got a lot strong over the summer. We brought back, you know, several starters from last year on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we were rebuilding, so had to play a lot of young guys, getting them caught up with the pace and the speed of the game, getting terminology down. But the guys done their part in the weight room. I felt like they really bought into what we were talking about as far as strength and conditioning, taking care of their bodies, being ready for the challenge of going into a varsity season. Because like I said, on defense, most of them were new on the defensive side of the ball.
And, you know, you ended last year on an extremely high note. You know, during the season, you had the one win, but then had a great playoff run, and that kind of boosted to start of the year. Talk about that and how it really impacted your kids.
Yeah. So last year, we played a lot of young guys last year. And as the season went on, you could see them continuously get better. They were in a lot of close games last year that we just, you know, didn't have the experience and just couldn't pull off. But they were always right there in those games. And as the season went on, I think they learned a lot about themselves. I think they learned how to carry themselves as football players and as young men in the school. And then towards the playoff, things just started to gel for them, and the game started slowing down for the players. And we were able to make a pretty good run right there at the end.
And you brought a lot of those kids back too this year, leaders right now. And you started off with Chester and got a great win against a really good Chester team. Talk about that and how that continued to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, really, really good, well-coached Chester football team. Coach Vic does a great job over there with those guys. We were able to hold on to a close win. But overall, their guys gave us a challenge early, and you want guys like that on the schedule early to figure out what you're going against, what your team can do, what they can't do. And Chester's always a good challenge for us, starting the year off and giving us a gauge on where we are, where we want to be. And they're going to do a good job of exposing some of your weakness areas, and then that gives you a week to try to work on them and get better.
And this last week, kind of a crazy game that you had to play over 2 days, and played a pretty good Indian Land squad. Used to playing them at the end of the year. You got them a little bit earlier this year. Talk about that game and how over 2 days it kind of evolved into what it became.
It seemed to be an evolution because the last 2 years that's been the case for us. I think that Indian Land has a really well-coached football team. I think that if you give them a break, they will go back and look at that film. They will find what they're looking for. And when they come back the second time around, they're going to be ready to take advantage of whatever it is that, you know, they were able to see in that first quarter. And we did not handle the pressure as well. Part of it was our depth. We have a lot of young men that's out right now. Hopefully we get to the bye and limp into the bye week and get back healthy. But I take my hat off to those guys. They played a really good football team. We had them down 21-7. Just didn't have enough juice in the tank to finish out the football game. And you kind of saw some resemblance of that kind of situation last year. Our guys really took that to heart, and it was a remembrance of last year for us. And so those guys understand that now. And so we've been doing extra conditioning every day, not as a punishment thing, but as an acknowledgement that we're just not where we want to be. And we're not healthy enough or conditioned enough to go through a whole season trying to play both sides of the ball and constantly rotating guys from the offense to the defensive side of the ball and think that we can hold up against good football teams.
And now your offense looks like, it looks like what I know of the Lancaster offense. They like to run the ball, and you got some good guys up front getting some good holes. And you got now an experienced quarterback. Talk a little bit about that offense and how that's going to help you this year.
Well, that group is really gelled together. They spent a lot of time this summer talking about who they wanted to be, what they wanted to be as a unit. I think offensive coaches have done a really good job at making them understand what our strength and weaknesses are. Friday and Saturday morning, you saw them complete a couple of passes. We've made that a part of our summer. We're trying to get better in the passing game, making sure that we get the ball out on the perimeter to some guys and letting them make some plays and loosen the box up a little bit. Against a 5-man box, obviously we running. 6-man box, we running. 7-man box, we thinking about running. And then an 8-man box, you got to spread the ball around a little bit and get it on the perimeter some. But I think our guys really understand that up front, we're stronger than a lot of teams. And we've been able to move the front and give those guys some run lanes, and our backs really doing a good job at taking care of the football and getting downhill, whether it be, RJ, whether it be D, Aaron Rucker, who didn't get to play with us Saturday. But our backs are doing a really good job at taking that handoff and getting downhill, and our line is really doing a good job with laying on guys and keeping their feet running and keeping engaged.
And now you talked about the defense a little bit being young. What do you got to see out of improvement from those guys moving forward?
We just got to coach young guys up. I tell them, you can get beat athletically. You can get beat by a stronger guy. You can get beat by a faster guy. But you should never get beat by your effort. Nobody should have more want to than you. And that's one of the things that we're emphasizing with those young guys, getting to the football, understanding your role in your job, and being able to play within your means of whatever the defense asks you to do on every particular play.
And one of the forgotten units, the special teams, we're not going to forget about them. Talk a little bit about them.
Cannot. We spent Monday morning, Labor Day, focusing on special teams. We had a special teams letdown Saturday morning. I feel like it cost us the game, but it's one of those things where it was uncharacteristic of that unit. We hadn't seen those issues before, so it wasn't so much that we feel like it's a problem. We just need to go back and make sure that we clean some things up and focus on being crisp, focus on being alert at times, and just focus on doing our job.
All right, and finally, this week you got Rock Hill at home. Talk about what you're expecting.
I think Coach Birch has done a really good job with getting his young men ready to play. They done ran across some roadblocks early on. South Point really went in there and done a number. Friday, Saturday split. But overall, I think that their young guys run to the football defensively. They swarm it. They make plays. So offensively, we got to control the game. We got to control the clock. We got to be able to run the football. And then we got to make sure that we eliminate mistakes. I think that it comes down to which group can control momentum and which group can control the nerves. Starting out, I think both groups will make early mistakes. And then it comes down to which coach can settle their guys down the quickest and just get them playing their individual game.
Now, you guys, if you're not doing anything on Friday night, get out to Lancaster High School, and you got the Bruins taking on Rock Hill. It's at home. It's at 7:30. Make sure you go out and support those Bruins. Coach, thanks for being on, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching and tuning in to The Playbook.